Yo, what's up guys, Neon Blitz here, back with another Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra video. Season 3 is finally upon us, and I know I'm getting late to this. I was busy with the Super Vegito video, and then I've been busy all day, but we're finally here giving the Season 3 breakdown. Just even before we get to all the things, all the UI changes here. We can see at the top left now they changed how the rank looks. You can actually see how close you are to your next rank, and if you click on the role rank, it actually tells you the exact points that you need to get to the next rank. So, I don't think the actual numbers themselves change, the next tiers of ranks were always like 100 plus, and getting for the next player was always 300, getting 100 per role. So I don't think the numbers exactly change. I think it's just now we just see it visually, which is awesome, and then we can even see it without needing to go into the tab itself how close we are. So you see, for attack, for damage, I'm 62, and it looks like it's slightly more than half. So it's a good visual indicator. But let's get into the actual news. So the new season begins. Super Vegito. We got Vegito here with his legendary intro. We got, of course, Super Vegito and the 3 new Battle Pass skins, and then a new helper. So let's get done with this. Long-awaited Season 3 begins. We have new info on our arrival, new hero customizations, and more. New hero arrives, Super Vegito, roll damage. The ultimate merged warrior, he rains down chaos of time ability and roll wide-ranging skills. He's able to freely transfer from level 1, and activating a super attack will instantly end skill cooldowns. Take the battlefield by storm with his lightning speed. So, of course, we got to talk about the first brand new character, Super Vegito. I already made a video on him, that dropped if you guys are curious. I'll link it in the description, but he is insanely fun. He doesn't feel overly broken, not yet at least, or maybe I'm just playing him wrong, but he definitely seems to, they're pretty interesting, Everyone's a lot less tanky this season, which I feel like if this character dropped Season 2, he would have been a monster, considering tanks or team fights wouldn't went on a lot longer just because of build-up and solid barrier. And this guy thrives on team fights. He wants to hit 2 or more people with his abilities to lower his cooldown of Spirit Sword. And then obviously his ult, he has no cooldowns on his abilities. So being able to hit the whole enemy team just because of his tankiness and they actually stay alive long enough, gonna get multiple ults and a bunch of low cooldowning moves. As of right now, since a lot of the tankiness got nerfed, I still think he's incredibly good. Don't get me wrong, he's still incredibly good. It's just a lot more different than Piccolo staying super far behind and sniping, or Kale waiting for the right moment to use her burst combo and just deleting half the team. And I still think Solid Barrier is probably really good. Solid Barrier is Steel Skin, but yeah, he definitely feels great. He's super fun, so I think this is a great release. Next on the news, limited only, we have the new hero focus capsules. Obviously with all of his new legendary emotes, MVPs, and finisher effects. So if we go in the shop here, you can see his legendary intro with Goku and Vegeta fusing, right? That's obviously the first thing, get his MVP, with the sword and, the amount of aura he has. And obviously his finisher hitting someone through the coil. Those are the 3 new cosmetics. Of course, he still has, regular rare cosmetics and epic cosmetics, which are the blue and yellow tiers respectively. But, the legendary stuff looks awesome. I will probably be summoning for him, so be ready to watch a summoning video if I upload it. And with those cosmetics, it also comes with, of course, the new special Vegito exclusive capsules, which you can buy in the shop. I personally do not recommend buying this. Take a look at this. This bundle is $350, and yeah, it comes with Vegeta, which I believe this bundle is like $650 normally, and which a character is $250. Vegito is $250. So to have a character, you're getting 3 guaranteed Super Vegito emotes, but it's not. You have a much higher chance of getting 3 rares or some epics than the 3 legendary, which is obviously the ones you would want. So I do not think it's worth it. Plus, this is a one-time deal getting the 3, and then you're spending $350 a day just to get 1 summon on this banner, and then just for that to just get a blue simple rare that you can get just from the regular capsules or even have potentially from the pink capsules. It's not worth it at all. Please do not buy that. And it goes from the 14th, which obviously is released, to the 21st of January at 1 a.m. Because in-game, they say UTC here, but in-game it's actually your local time. So this is my proper time of East Coast, of Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, it looks like the capsule sale period ends on the 21st of January. So that's probably when Super Saiyan Bardock's going to come out. And you can see the limit 1 per day is going to go to the 26th. As I imagine, they still obviously, people are going to buy all the Vegito stuff. So they still want to sell as much as possible, and it's available till the 28th. Important notes, at this time, the FCC capsules and FG capsules exclusive Super Vegito, the sale period will be shorter than the capsule period, make use of all the period and blah blah blah. Then of course we have this new special G capsule, new emotes, all around Super Vegito, which if you're not unfamiliar, the G capsules are just the gold capsules. These ones right here that you can just earn. SG open TFC the capsule. And then of course the G capsules, Obviously, you're gonna get the recolors for Vegito and the stamps and all that. So, if you guys want Vegito summons or Vegito specific stuff, this is probably the best time to get it before they add even more recolors, stamps, cosmetics, decreasing the odds. And I imagine since he's quote featured, he's gonna have higher rates. So, and with that, yeah, new emotes and effects have also been added to the Prize Season 3 Prize G-Capsule after the end of the future periods. These emotes will now be unavailable due to the capsule. So all the Super Saiyan 4, Vegeta, MVP or starts and MVP or not MVP finishers. Technical is losing his finisher, and the Super Saiyan Vegeta is losing a lot of his, cosmetics once this P3 capsule area goes away. So make sure if you guys want to get the chance to get all these cosmetics, make sure to roll on the pink cap or use your pink capsules for that. New skins added. Android 17's infinite skin has been added. So Android 17 is a nice character to get these kind of infinite skins. If you're not familiar with these it's the when you get these, when you get a duplicate in this game for a cosmetic, you get these EX tokens. And once you get 1,000 of it, you essentially get a special cool recolor of a skin. So like, they'll use this good one because I think it's a good example. The regular skin for Boot, just like this. It's just a red and white basic. The EX version, on the other hand, has this cool, candy pattern that's always moving. And this is pretty consistent with all these EX skins. And if you look at Oob, it's glowing, Trunks glowing, and so 17's the newest one that gets it here. It does look pretty nice, I will say. I know it's going to be a long time till I'm able to get an EX skin just because I rarely summon. And you obviously need to own the skin. I don't think you need to own the skin. I think if you could just get the EX skin by itself, and it's different than the regular skin. So that's always nice. So I don't know how long until I'll be able to get infinite skin, but hey, that's always nice for those that actually summon quite frequently. Ultimate Gohan's Rage skin is added to the Battle Pass, and Coolers and Super Saiyan Trunks Teen's Range is also added to the Premium Pass. So we saw it there, on the screen there, but here, so Cooler's Rage skin. This kind of reminds me of a recolor he has in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Am I crazy? I feel like Cooler basically has this exact recolor as a skin in FighterZ. It's interesting. But he's a part of the Premium Pass, so you need to unlock it to get the skin. The free skin for this season is Ultimate Gohan, which is really interesting. I would have thought it would have been, Super Vegito or maybe Bardock or Kefla, because I believe all the other previous Battle Pass or free Battle Pass skins have been characters released in the previous season. Like Super Saiyan 3 Goku had released, had his Battle Pass skin, which was given out for free. This one. And then Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta also had a Battle Pass skin given out for free on top of his Twitch Drop skin. This is the Twitch Drop skin. I believe this is the Battle Pass skin. So it's quite interesting that they do it for Ultimate Gohan and not Super Vegito, but Super Vegeto's already getting a Twitch Drop skin. So I guess and they needed the character already in the game. They're not going to give you, a Battle Pass skin for Bardock, who's not in the game already. So interesting. And then in the Battle Pass as well, since we're on the topic of it, has, Spopovich as the helper for this season with a new kind of mechanic called Pass, which I believe we'll get to, which we'll mention in the Battle Pass, or in this kind of upload. Yeah, Pass right here. With the new Pass ability rolled for tanks, the helper can pull in the closest enemy hero within AoE range towards them, draw a somewhat distant opponent to range, isolate them, and strike. The helper rejoining this ability will be Spopovich. Play through the Season 3 Battle Pass to get this helper with a new ability. This sounds like a reverse of Botamo for attackers, where Botamo, if you're in the range, Botamo will push you away. It seems like if you're in range, Spopovich will push an enemy towards you. So that sounds pretty good. Kind of reminds me of what Rildo used to do. But maybe it can hit multiple people, or maybe just has a way bigger range. So I'm interested to try out Spopovich. Here he is right now. It's quite interesting to see him. If we're on the topic of helpers, we can go into rankings to actually see the ranked reward. So it looks like we're getting a Mr. Satan as the ranked reward, and a bunch of new get Max Gekishin first for hitting A rank in all the roles. Nice. Now, it actually shows us what Mr. Satan's going to be a replacer of for the helper. It looks like he's going to be a replacer of the King, which is actually quite good. I feel like this is the most used helper attack. Or helper attack helper supporter. I don't know why I struggle to say that. I mean, Nail's good, but not a lot of characters really use, you're not going to use rush attacks on, Goku, for example. Alright, but Tamo kind of sucks. Yeah, I think he needs to be buffed. And Major Metallic had his one niche during Season 1 with Steam Buns. And then they got rid of that and then hard nerfed them for no reason. So yeah, it's good that they're actually making the ranked reward for a character or for a helper that's actually quite useful. We do not have Bola or Bra in the game yet, so don't worry, you haven't missed the ranked rewards. Do not be afraid of that. Let's go back to the here. CPU battles here. Take on the CPU in Gekishin rules. It does not factor rank. There's a beginner and intermediate difficulty. So yeah, now when you press the standard battle, you now have standard battle, quick battle, and then beginner CPU and intermediate CPU. I wish, since they have this mode, that they could take the bots out of standard battle just altogether, since they're in these two modes. But I think always having a versus AI is always good, you know, especially if you're just trying to clear some missions or just grind outs. You know, hero memories. I think it's always good to just have hero memory or versus AI. It's always just a good thing. So glad to see that added into the game. New boss and divine draws to Gekishin rules. Jackie Chun will be replacing the current boss Android 16. Attacking and act damage will trigger a counterattack, so fight cautiously. I did show this off in my Super Vegito video. Jackie Chun actually seems like quite an interesting boss. He gets to like 2 different health ranges, and then he uses after image, and the one that's like more solid will be the real one. And if you attack a clone, it will deal damage to you. And I have had a boss stolen from me from RNG because it got close to the enemy, so that is quite unfortunate. But it makes it less reliable to just spear bomb it, special beam cannon it to secure these big damage ults from these damage characters. So I do think it's smart, and it applies a different effect in Android 16. It applies like a vanishing step up, which I think is quite interesting. No longer the crazy movement speed that 16 used to give. So it's interesting that they're willing to change bosses and change the effects. So hopefully we'll see a change to Nappa, a change to Jocko, Ribrian, maybe we might see Great Ape, or who knows who we might see as an actual boss. And now this actually frees up Android 16 as a character who I think would be a great character, and you just make him a tank. So you can have 16 as the tank, 17 as the support, and 18 as the damage character. I think that'd be awesome. The new Divine Draw, Super Cool Cooldown Reduction, Vanishing Step, Cloudy Cloak, and Mystery HP. We're replacing Super Damage Boost Skill 2, Sparkly Stardust, and Spirited Away. I have played with both of them. Vanishing Step, I had to remind myself quite frequently during my Super Vegito gameplays to use it, but it does seem quite helpful. Cloudy Cloak is annoying. Maybe not as bad as I thought it would be, but it's still really annoying. And I did not get Mystery HP at all during my Super Vegito video, so I do not know how it exactly works. But from the initial video and how they described it, it does seem quite annoying. So I don't know how I feel about these new Divine Draws, but hey, it's new flavor to the game, and it's always good to see. If increases of Vanishing Step, your character cloaked in cloud, and total HP of enemy heroes and bosses hidden, experience battles unlike anything before. Then we got a change to Land Grab. Land Grab is a different formation than it was in Season 2, which is a different formation than it was in Season 1. I don't know how many players there have actually, sat down and experienced the Land Grab. I did not play Land Grab at all during Season 2. But I do find it interesting that this is like the one consistent sub-rule that they added. And hope it keeps, for those, I'm sure there's diehard players that only play Land Grab. So I'm hoping that they love these changes. And it'll be awesome if they regularly updated like other land or sub rules as well. Like what if we got different to Veggie Battle? We got updates to that. That'd be awesome. But the changes to it, different formation announced when you get the big circle instead of getting extra HP. You now have a shortened cooldown of vanishing stuff. For some reason this season they love vanishing stuff. I don't know why, but it's quite interesting. Then the prize Season 2 prize G-Capsule ending soon. Make sure to use any of the capsules that you own. So if you go over here to back to the summoning screen, I have not used my pink S2 capsules yet. It looks like you have 20 days to use it, so make sure you guys do this. This will not be updated, so you're free to just summon on this as much as you want right now. I'm sure during my summoning video for Super Vegeta, I'll be doing these summons. Hopefully I get something cool. I mean, recolor is always nice, but obviously I want, the cosmetic. So hopefully I get anything cool. Make sure you guys use it. If we keep going down, we're almost at the end of those. Season 3 is packed with updates and new heroes. Super Saiyan Bardock and Super Saiyan 2 Kefla added. Bardock is a tank and Kefla is a damage character. There's no new technical character for Season 3, which is quite disappointing. Hopefully, I understand, yes, damage is going to has double the players in a role. On it, there are 2 damage characters on a team, while there's only 1 technical and 1 tank, so theoretically tanks in theory and technicals need less characters, but it's still quite disappointing to have a full season with new characters without a new character in your role. And considering, during Season 1 we didn't have a new tank, and now Season 3 we didn't have a new technical. It is quite unfortunate, but hey, what could you do? New sub-rule, Carry the Sword added, where players complete to carry the Z-Sword. It is not in game yet. As you can see, the current sub rule is sub land grab. I expect to land next week for it to be Carry the Sword. So I'll be making sure to cover that because I do find these sub rules fun. I made a video on Finders Keepers. I made a video on Veggie Battle. So I will be doing a video on Carry the Sword. Then finally, new in-game tournament format events and many more updates are planned. Don't mess on any Squadra news. And then just, make sure you guys are not doing anything inappropriate or doing things illegal to keep the game safe. So that's all the big update news from there, but we actually still have some in-game updates as well. So there's ongoing issues, you know, some bug fixes and all that. Just free 250 Zeni. Just talking about crashes, frame rate issues. There's a bug with Super Vegito, which I don't know if I experienced, but that's always interesting. And the next, probably one of the biggest updates to come from Season 3. So notice a trial hero change. So the characters on this free week are Super Saiyan KO, Daima Goku, Zamasu, Khalifa, Krillin, and Super Saiyan Gotenks. This is the first time Gotenks has ever been on a free week or a trial character. You know, we just had, you know, Super Saiyan 3 during like the last week or 2 weeks of Season 2. So the fact that we're already getting Gotenks is awesome. Imagine maybe in 2 weeks we'll have Topo as the trial character. So I'll be making a video on Super Saiyan Gotenks. I've never played him, and I know there's a lot of talks. You know, people keep talking about how he gets nerfed and all, but I'll be the one to play him and see truly how good he is. And I'm excited to play him. So that's an awesome change out there, adding these Season 1 characters to the trial hero system now. Then we have our Squadra Talk bonus. You know, if you've inputted the code, which I'll leave that video linked in the description as well, where you just gotta input the code into the Gekishin Squadra website and you get 5 PS3 P3Gs as capsules, the pin capsules. So that's awesome. Before we talk about the patch notes, which I will be including in this video as well, we got 2 more things to talk about. We got probably the biggest thing, which I am shocked that they did this. That here, the free character for this week is Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Now, I know I was saying they should make Topo the free character if they want to go well. So the fact that they made it probably the most popular character of Season 1 Super Saiyan 3 Goku is insane. You know, all you got to do to get him is just battle using damage roll 10 times and you get him for free. If you already own him, you get 5,000 hero memories. And it makes it a question of, you know, now that the hero memories, the Star Collection system got locked, because, you know, I was going to use my Star Collection on the 75, the one that they added Super Saiyan 3 Goku, but now that he's given up for free, I think I'm just going to wait. Because I believe you do not have to claim the character right away, you can just get to 75 and then keep going. So, I probably recommend doing that. See, you know, what if next week Gotenks is free? Or 2 weeks from now, Gotenks is free? What if, you know, the next character is, like, I don't know, maybe like cooler or something than Gotenks? Like, it's quite, I will say, you know, I know we're all disappointed in the Star Collection, and we're glad it's removed, but they've been doing a pretty good job with these free characters they've been giving out. The fact that they're giving us Super Saiyan 3 is wild to me. And yeah, now we just got patch notes, which I'm gonna go over to the browser, and we have background music. So I'll see you guys in a second. All right, we are back. We're going to talk about some news that's more beneficial to look at the web browser. Shout out Streamer Code for the background music. You know, if you're watching any of my updates videos and all that, you've heard their stuff. So if you like the background music, make sure to check them out. Leave a link to this exact video in the description. But before we get into the actual patch notes, they actually put out their Season 3 rewards for the Tournament Support Program. I'm glad that, you know, they're still offering good rewards for those players that love competing in tournaments and showcasing their skills. I think it's really awesome, and, you know, if you see this exact, you know, skins or icons in the game, you know you're either gonna get carried or gonna get destroyed. So I think it's sick. So for Season 3, you get this cool, like, platinum, silver, Super Saiyan Vegito skin as well. You know, of course, a bunch of icons, and this is already alive. So any tournaments that, you know, people are hosting in the community, or maybe even the official Squadra Blast, when that happens, if you players win or get higher enough ranked, that you get this, you know, cool Vegito skin. You know, and you can click on the webpage and see the exact rewards themselves. You know, you just need, there needs to be like 8 teams or more. And, you know, it all depends on, I think the host also get it as well, which is also awesome to see. But, you know, they have stated that, starting from Season 3, the necessary teams required for rewards are being adjusted to be more easily obtainable. And continuing in Season 3, we will have rewards for designs that change based on number of tournaments hosted and number of season tournament wins. Check out the Tournament Support Program for details. So I believe they're requiring the total amount of teams necessary to be entered into a tournament in order to be eligible to get the Vegito skin, which I think that's awesome. You know, this game is pretty niche, so it should be more realizable for players to get this cool skin. So I'm glad they do that. Now, let's get into the Season 3 patch. These came out like a day early, and I did not make a video on it because by the time I finished recording a video, I believe I finished recording the how to get Vegito every video. I then saw the patch notes were out, and it was super late, and I went to sleep. And then obviously I'm like, okay, well, I'll just wait for the Season 3 breakdown to talk about it. So here we are. Season 3 patch notes now available. They're already in game. So Buffs. Super Saiyan Trunks. His skill 2 is now 2 seconds, has its cooldown increased from 12 seconds to 10 seconds. Okay, I mean, always good buff. Skill 3 Burning Attack, cooldown decreased from 9 seconds to 8 seconds. Both of these are kind of, I mean, the skill 2 is definitely nice because the skill 2 is pretty strong, but I feel like both of these are kind of nothing buffs. You know, I feel the biggest problem with Trunks, at least in Season 2, was that everyone was going build up in Solid Barrier, so everyone was so tanky so they can't be assassinated, and he didn't have a lot of health early on, so he could just, if he lost lane early, he was not strong enough to assassinate people, and they would just snowball ahead and just kill him. He's definitely a like mid to late game character in a game where the early game is super important. So it felt kind of rough to play as him. So I feel like they could have done more with it, but I mean, there's still obviously good buffs. I think the skill 2 is a way more impactful than the skill 3, but hey, we'll take it. Cooler got buffed. All right, you know, let's see what they did. Skill 1, Destruction Rate. Cooldown decreased from 6 seconds to 5 seconds. That's perfectly fine with me. You know, Season 1, it had its cooldown of like 4 seconds, which is a little ridiculous for, especially, you know, when he uses abilities, he gets invincibility frames. Having, you know, invincibility frames every 4 seconds is a little insane. 5 seconds, I think, is a good compromise between 6. Duration of continuous damage for pillars of fire increased from 3.54 to 5 seconds all throughout. That seems pretty strong. You know, this, I believe the continued damage is when he used, when he had his passive, when he has like his purple aura around them and he used it on his skill 1. That's when you get the pillars of fire that, if hit, you know, you take damage over time. So the fact that increasing it to 5 seconds flat, that's a pretty good buff and should lead to more damage. Damage interval continuous damage for pillars fire decreased from 0.5 to 0.25. That's pretty big. You know, before it was, you know, every half second it would do the tick of damage, which, you know, that could matter if, you know, if someone's just barely made it to their God of Destruction, you use their your destruction rate while they're on God of Destruction, they have like 1 health left, but then they're healing before the continuous damage can apply from the fire, and then they live. So having it essentially be halved, it was also just going to make it do more damage on top of it already having 5 seconds. Because think about it, it's essentially doubling the damage. You know, at first it was like every 5 seconds, so you get what, like 6 cases of this, 6 or 8, depend, like 6, 8, you know, depending on the rank of damage. But now it's 0.25 across 5 seconds. So you're gonna get what? So it's like 4 seconds every second. So are you gonna get 20 ticks of this then? That seems pretty crazy. That's a lot of damage. But to compensate, damage and continued damage decrease for pillars of fire from 100 to 50. Yeah, that makes sense. If it was 100, you know, every 0.25, that'd be wild. But I still think it's a net buff overall for the damage. I mean, low cooldown, that's gonna help out his passive and, you know, the invincibility frames. The continuous damage will help out a lot. And the fact that it's more, the takes more often could maybe help secure a kill better. So these are definitely great buffs. I always, you know, while I was thinking about S rank to Season 2, and I was using Cooler and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, and I definitely still love Cooler, do not get me wrong, I still think he was strong, but it definitely was noticeable how much weaker he was compared to Season 0 and Season 1, and you know how especially weaker he was compared to Super Saiyan 4 Vegito. So I'll take these buffs, and especially because we know he's getting like some legendary emo, if it's an MVP, an intro, finisher, who knows. So you know, they're buffing Cooler, you know, setting up for the emo, you know, they're not slick. The Bora. Now this character, I know everyone's memeing about Bojack during Season 0 and Season 1, but thinking back now, and especially after these Bojack buffs, I think the Bora was actually the worst character in Season 0 and Season 1. I think it was just, you know, he was a noob stomper, people didn't know how to exactly play around him, so obviously he was a lot stronger though, but now that people know what to do against him, and his Season 2 buffs really didn't change anything from, it's just really highlighted how weak his kit was. It really just brought to light how much worse, especially with, and now the fact that Bojack got buffed to actually really good. It just made him so much worse compared to, so I hope they actually do something. Now, there were people in my comments talking about how the Bora got nerfed, and rest in peace the Bora players, which I cannot see how they nerfed the Bora at all. So let's see what they did. Passive, the Demon's Domain. This is like the petrification gauge for this bit. AoE range per level up increased from 0.3 to 0.4. Okay. Petrification gauge buildup for enemy heroes within AoE decreased from every 0.25 seconds, 3 seconds to 1 to 2.1. Sure. I'm not too sure what that means, but sure. Skill 2, Darkness Spear. Cooldown decreased 7 seconds to 5 seconds. Duration of no vanishing step decreased from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. Let me zoom in real quick. Why would they do that? I mean, yes, I get it. They cut down the cooldown. But what? Duration of movement speed boost effect when moving towards enemy heroes pierced by spear decreased from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. Okay. Movement speed boost effect when moving towards enemy heroes pierced by spear amount adjusted. 75, 100, 100 to 50, 75, 100. They just nerfed it. What? They say adjust. No, it's just a flat out nerf. What? So they made it so you lose 25 when it's max level. Because you're very rarely going to get, you know, all 3 abilities maxed out. So that's just a nerf. Why would they do that? The skill 3 Evil Flame cooldown increased from 6 seconds to 7 seconds. How is this a buff? The only thing that seemingly got buffed was this. And they classified that as a buff when they nerfed. And I guess also this. Those are the only 3 buffs he got. I feel like everything else was a nerf. I don't. They're so scared of the Bora being good and the spear being so strong. I mean, yes, it is a really strong ability. You know, taking away someone's ability to limit breaking or to vanishing stuff is really strong. And if the ability was strong, could, you know, be game defining. But I just don't think the Bora's kit, even if that ability was good, is strong enough to do these changes. I don't get it. So why? I don't get why I guess they're balancing around lower ranks because the Bora is the noob stomper, you know. But I just don't get why they would alright, sure. Helpers, crash. So this is major metallics. Cooldown decreased from 60 seconds to 45 seconds. Cool. Helper still sucks. Major Metallics had his one niche role where steamed buns in the walls. And that was it. If the Divine Jaw was not selected, you didn't go Major Metallics. Yes, people were memeing, oh, you go Piccolo and, you know, set up for better snipes. Sure, man. And, you know, people have done that, oh, they nerfed this ability to hell because Super Saiyan 4, Vegito, Ultimate Gohan, 2 newest characters, you know, gain benefits from walls, which, sure. But why did they nerf Major Metallics so hard then? And then why are they offering such a little buff? That's really sure, man. Divine combo cards. Art of Decoy. Movement speed increased from 40 to 50%. Vanishing step cooldown recovery speed increased from 30% to 45%. Yeah, that seems pretty good. You know, I think Art of Decoy. I forget exactly which one is Art of Decoy. But it was not one of the 4, you know, Snowball, Solid Beer, Steel Skin, Build Up, Limit Breaking Strike, Backstab. It was not one of those Divine Jaws, so any other Divine Jaws that got buffed is great. Guardian Angel, damage reduction increased from 20% to 25%. I still don't know if that's good enough. You know, I think Limit Breaking Jumps, even if Limit Breaking Jump got like nerfed to the ground, I still think the fact you can get 2 vanishing stuff is way too strong. And even then, a lot of times, you're really going to see the Guardian Angel like impact, so I feel like a lot of players are still not going to go it, but hey, a buff is a buff. Nerfs. Super Saiyan Goku, okay. Skill 2, additional input effect of Kaioken change from staggered to 70% movement speed down for 1.5 seconds. That sounds like a pretty decent nerf. You know, I don't know why he had the stagger. You know, it was kind of the hammer time move that he does. And it basically just, you know, it could cancel ults, you know, if someone's getting away because the Meteor Hammer had a big AoE. And then you pair the comment with Kaioken, they get big stagger, and then you just comment after, and no one's really surviving that. And depending on how long, you know, you've been fighting for it, their solid barriers down, so they're just going to be taking a lot of damage. So I'm surprised they got rid of it. But 70% movement speed still sounds pretty good, and especially considering how big his Kamehameha is. I still think they're not getting out of the Kamehameha, but this now like makes it so they can actually ult. So sure. Kaioken. Stock reduced from 112 to 111. Adds also pretty decently. I mean, yes, I feel like, okay, well, sure. Super Saiyan Goku could get to level 13, depending on how long the game is going, just because he is such a good securing with his Kamehameha and Spirit Bomb. So that is a decently nerf, but it's not too bad. So, increase effective movement speed from 40, 80 to 120 to 55, 80, 120. So it gives you more movement speed early. Sure. You know, if you need to give him compensatory I don't know what I'm saying. If you want to compensate him with some buffs, sure. That makes fun. It's only for level 1, so. Super attack, Spirit Bomb. Time until impact increased from 1 second to 1.5 seconds. That's pretty significant, you know. You already weren't really using this Spirit Bomb during, like, fights and team fights until it's like level 2 or even level 3. Or super leveled. So, it was only really good for plants. Or not for plants, for bosses. And, you know, 1.5 seconds means you now need to do a lot earlier, which could potentially lead to some, you know, people messing it up and letting you steal it. So, sure. Distance before damage fall off begins to decrease from 4 meters to 2 meters. Okay. Duration after bomb impact reduced from 1 second to half seconds. You know, there have been times where the Spirit will be landing and like, okay, it landed, I'm good. And then run into it, still get hit with like all the damage because it was out for a while. So, hey, I'll take that. Damage decreased from 4,000 flat to 3,500. Okay. You know, it still does a lot of damage, but hey, you know, a nerf is a nerf. How can additional input decrease from 4,200 flat to now just matching 3,500? How can additional input explosion damage increase from 2,000 to 1,500? I see. Okay, so they really nerfed out damage. I mean, that Spirit Bomb was one of the best ults in the game. Not even just for boss securing, but especially a level once you max it out. It was just this big circle. You will leave now or you will die. So glad that they're looking to getting into Spirit Bomb nerfs. It's still incredible ult, don't get me wrong. Just, you know, not as good as before. So sure. Daima Goku. I'm surprised he's getting nerfed. I think the #1 ranked player used Daima Goku a lot, but besides that, I would not say Daima Goku was really up there in terms of characters that needed to be adjusted or even nerfed. So, interesting that they decided to nerf him. Passive, Battle Gear. Strike damage increased per 1 second decrease from 20 to 12. That sounds like a lot of damage. 6 less damage every strike. Sure, rush attack. That sounds pretty significant. Strike damage maximum increased value decreased from 800 to 600. Wow, so he just lost a lot of his damage from his passive, which, you know, I still feel like he's going to do a lot of damage. I mean, of course he will, but these sound like pretty significant nerfs. So, sure, interesting. Divine Combo Cards. Lightning Swift, additional cooldown 6 seconds. Interesting. I'm going to keep reading. Super Snowball, because I think I noticed this one. All attack power increase reduced from 75 to 40. But additional number of all attack up 4 to 5. So now you can get 5 stacks of Super Snowball, but now they only get 40. So you get 200 attack, right? But if you get 75 from before, it was 300. So you're still losing to like 100 damage overall max stacks. But, you know, 5 stacks is still going to be insanely scarier. So great that they're doing that. Super Snowball needed to be nerfed way before this. And another thing that needed to be nerfed, build up. All defense up increase reduced from 30 to 15, cutting in half, sure. Build up was really insane during season 2, so glad they're nerfing it. Necessary NPC KOs or assists required for all defense up increase from 2 to 3. That's really significant. Now you're gonna have to kill so many more mobs just to get max stats. And especially now that additional number of all defense up from 10 to 15. Wow. So I still think it's probably less, you know. You get 30, like, you get 300 additional defense, right? But now you only get 225. So not only is it harder to get all built up, it's not even as good as it was before. And you now have to kill more mobs for it. Is overall, which, wow, okay, they nerfed build up really hard. I'm sure there's going to be some characters that are still good with it, like Broly or Vegito, maybe Goku. These characters that can clear out, you know, all the mobs in a lane super quickly. But that's pretty insane nerfs. Wow. Solid Barrier. Barrier duration reduced from 2 seconds to 1.5 seconds. Good. Cooldown increased 10 seconds to 15 seconds. Great. Awesome. That Solid Beard also needed to be nerfed alongside Super Snowball. Those two have been like the best Divine Draw or Divine combo cards since the game came out. Maybe even since like the Open Network test, or maybe even since the initial beta. I'm not too sure of Project Multi. I'm not too sure on that, but I know definitely see at least Season 0 minimum. So good that nerfing this defense step. Interesting. I did not think this needed to be nerfed because I don't think this is limit breaking jump. I don't think. So defense step, additional cooldown for a second. Wild, sure. I'm surprised because I feel like that went under like valued then, but hey, whatever. Adjustments: Super Saiyan Gotenks, Skill 2 Galactic Donut. Time between skill activation and until the donuts don't decrease from 0.6 seconds to 0.5 seconds. So it sounds like the donut now is a little bit faster. Good buff. Skill 3 Super Ghost, cooldown increase from 6 seconds to 7 seconds. Interesting. Ghost field of vision increase from 5 meters to 7. Okay. Damage decrease from 335, 375, 450 to 300, 330, 400. So they increased the cooldown and lowered the damage, but made it so the ghost saw better. And now the donut's like 0.1 second faster. So overall, he just got nerfed. You know, we saw the data from Season 1, and Gotenks had like the highest KDA, highest like win rate, and one of the highest win rates. Did I say high when he had one of the highest pick rates and had like the highest win rates across like all 3 of the servers of Asia, Europe, and America. So I'm guessing because of that, and he might be a low elo demon just because they don't know you can use dashes or vanishing stuff out of his skill 1 with the stun, and then his ult being like this big circle that if people were hit by it, they can't use their abilities. So I don't know why they keep hitting Gotenks this hard. You know, I always thought, you know, he was strong during Season 1, but he wasn't, like, incredibly broken. He was still strong, do not get me wrong, but I'm so surprised they're just nerfing this character even more. Android 18, Skill 2, Lightning Step. Apply no skills / attacks effect removed. That is surprising, because I feel like that was, like, an underappreciated part of 18's kit. So the fact that they just straight up removed it is wild. I don't even know why they would do that. I feel like 18 was like a pretty hard character to play, you know, especially during Season 2, everyone was going build-up style barriers, so they were just more tanky. She didn't have the most health in the world. She just had to take her 3, 4, 5 dashes to get out, so she couldn't really assassinate people, and if she did, it was a commitment from her, and so the nerf that is wild. Damn, cooldown decreased from 13 seconds to 12 seconds. Sure, man, whatever. Assault rush damage increase based on stacks increase. 100, 105, 115, 130, 150 to 100, 115, 130, 145, 160. So they increase it by like 10 to 15 depending on how many stacks you have, which, sure. I don't know if the cooldown reduction and the assault rush damage is enough to compensate for the no skills attack effect removed. But, sure. I mean, I don't think 18 needs any more changes. I think she was a fine enough spot during Season 2, if not a bit weak because of Divine Draws or Divine Combo cards. So to give her these changes, I think is really interesting. Divine Combo cards, Limit Breaking Jump, Activation Conditions change. While Vanishing Step is on cooldown, before its cooldown ends, the While Vanishing Step is on cooldown, additional cooldown 6 seconds. So what I believe this is saying is, you know, before Limit Breaking Jump, your overall Limit or Vanishing Step cooldown would start as soon as the first one is over. So you would vanishing once, and then its cooldown would start ticking, while you still have the second one on cooldown, or you can use the second one, I believe. But now it's just saying while it's just on cooldown flat, so you have to use the second one, and then it'll start the cooldown. And I think it means showing that the cooldown will be longer, which I think that's good. Limit Breaking Jump had again always been good, and it still probably is decently pretty good. I mean, the concept of 2 Limit Breaking Jumps is wild. The amount, you know, get out of areas, catch up to people, it's always good. Gekishin rules. The boss that appears have been changed. Android 16, the Jackie Chun. Movement range of the boss that appears in the center reduced 15 to 10 medium radius. So I think it's a smaller arena, which is good. You know, this makes it harder for Piccolo to just charge special beam cannon, super far away, and then just be able to one shot it, because you can't really damage the boss if you're outside of the range of it. So decreasing the range makes it harder to do that. So yeah, I think that's a good change. Star Collection. Updated hero unlock content. Added Legendary Super Saiyan Broly to the Tier 1. Changed God of Destruction Topo to Tier 2. We'll be continuing to update the hero unlocks as new heroes are added to the game, increase the maximum cap size of the star collection. Now once we're done reading the patches, I will go back in game to showcase that, but I do think that's interesting. Bug fixes. Super Saiyan Gotenks. Fix an issue where ghosts remain undetected if the hero it was following was not detected? Sure. Improvements. Gekishin rules. If the targeted God of Destruction is KO'd while charging a Gekishin Burst or after charging it but before it deals damage, Gekishin Burst will now be upsorted and the stock for the activated skill will not be consumed. This is a great change, because I don't know how about you guys, but how many times have you been pushing a turret, let's say maybe even going for a max Gekishin Burst, and your teammates are pushing the God of Destruction and they deal damage to the God of Destruction and kill it before your Gekishin Burst goes off or even your max Gekishin Burst, and now you essentially wasted your cooldown. So the fact that they're changing this so where if that happened you would keep the cooldown, that's a good change. I really like that's good quality of life. Matchmaking. Change matchmaking to reduce the likelihood of being matched with the same party twice in a row. That's a really good change. You know, I remember during my season 1 grind, I would run into like the #1 squad multiple times in a row, and I'm just like, come on, dude. Like I generally would be had to be for me to just wait until I see their in game and then queue up, and hopefully I find a match, because it was just really good. It was pretty much like 99% guaranteed loss, because you know I'm a solo queue player. So being able to reduce the likelihood of matching to the same party multiple times in a row is great. I know there's still the debate if they should have 2 separate queues, like a solo queue, a solo player queue, and a team player queue, but I don't think the game's big enough for that. So hopefully they could just decrease the chances of a solo queue player running into a team, a full squad, a team. Maybe that's the next change that they get to come out. Custom battle. Change the number of battle participations from a fixed 8 players to 4 to 8 players. The battle starts with teams at least have 2 players. Applies to all rules, including Gekishin rules and sub rules. Good change. You know, not everyone's gonna have a full 8 players. You know, the fact that you can now do like 2v2s and maybe 3v3s. I think that'll be interesting, and that's a good change. Menu. Added delete user data to others. So now you can delete your data. Sure. I'm surprised it took them this long, but hey. CPU battle. Added the battle rules CPU battle beginner and CPU battle intermediate when enemy heroes are always controlled by the CPU. I already showcased that off. Good change. It's just nice to grind out your hero memories or even do some missions. Rewards. Increase the aggregate amount of Zeni you can obtain from the battle pass. Ooh, okay. Increase the amount of Zeni you can obtain from bonus missions and battle score rewards. Ooh, okay. Now I do have 2 tweets here to showcase before I showcase the Star Collection changes. This first tweet's from Slightly Annie, shout out to them. Also, now in the patches, they made the middle platform way smaller, so you can see, yeah, because initially it would basically go all this entire wall and just completely surround it. Now it's just like a little bit around the boss, which is good, so it makes it again harder for a Piccolo to just charge into this bush, go right here, and then snipe the boss. That's a good change. I'm glad that they're like really trying to fight these, you know, these damage characters that can just snipe a boss and secure some super far ranges. I think good change. And then our next tweet we have from Revival Batara, shout out to them. Zeni Master 3 buffs in Squadra Season 3. Bonus missions. So you now get, instead of 600 Zeni, you now get 1,000. There's a showcase here. Great change. You know, I feel like it was still pretty hard to get bonus missions, even as for like free-to-play players, because you're not summoning as much, or maybe even, you know, queuing up as Phil, Tank, Technical. So the fact of giving them more Zeni is always good. Battle score rewards 500 to 1,000. I believe I showcased this when I got 1,000, or when I got my first game with Vegito, got 100k. So now the fact that it's 1,000, they just keep increasing these the amount of Zeni you get, which is awesome. You know, I think how low frequently you got Zeni was always one of the most contested points of this game. They always needed to increase it, so I'm glad they're finally listening. In the battle pass, 36k to 100k Zeni. I don't know if this includes Zeni from the premium rewards or if this is just strictly from free, but overall, if you did, I would imagine this includes all of the battle pass. If it's, I don't think this is only for free. I think this is also including the premium, because as we can see in this picture right here, there is 5,000 Zeni in the premium line. So I would like to see how much Zeni you get from the free version of the battle pass. But either way, the fact that they're buffing Zeni this massively is awesome. You know, they're really doing a lot of quality of life changes. You know, getting rid of the Star Collection because hero unlocking was not fun, and increasing the amount of Zeni you get because upgrading the hero statues for the Star Collection was not fun. Increasing the amount of hero memories you get because upgrading the hero statues for your Star Collection was not fun. Getting these weekly free missions that giving you free characters, and if you already own them, getting hero memories as well. You know, this week we're getting Super Saiyan 3 Goku for free, which is awesome. You know, in September you had to pay for them, and now you're getting them for free. We were able to try them out like 2 weeks ago. So if you liked them during the trial week, well, now you get them for free, which is awesome. So I'm just gonna go quickly back in game to showcase the Star Collection system, and then I'm gonna wrap up the video. Alright, we are back in game. We're just gonna go check out the Star Collection changes as we can see. So the only 2 changes for the Tier 2 and the Tier 1 unlock. So we've seen the Tier 2 unlocks. Now you have Gotenks, who has been here for a little bit. God of Destruction Topo, who is brand new. Cooler, Cell, who was given out for free, and Hit, who was given out for free. So I'd imagine if for a lot of players, the options are going to be between Gotenks, Topo, and Cooler. I can't say who, is the best option. Maybe with the Cooler bus, he might be insane. I think out of these 3, at least for right now that we know of, Topo is the strongest. But obviously just go with who you like the most and who you don't have. So I'll probably be going either between Gotenks or Topo. So that's just what I would be going for. And then for the Tier 1 unlock, as we can already see, Broly's here with Gohan and Vegito, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. So we have all the Season 2 characters. And now we have, since Super Saiyan 3 Goku is here, I would imagine once Super Saiyan Bardock comes out and Vegito's added to the Tier 1 unlock, I would imagine Super Saiyan 3 Goku gets added to the Tier 2. Or maybe it might be Kefla. I mean, they're giving him out for free anyway, so that's awesome. Now, between all 3 characters, all of these characters are still amazing. So obviously, you can't go wrong with any of them, so you pick which one you like the most. Super Saiyan 3 Goku, I'm sure we've all been instant sniped by him, and you do crazy range, as I found out. You can do crazy damage at an insane range when I found out with my video on him when he saw him Shiro Week. Super Saiyan Vegeta somehow did not get nerfed at all, which is wild to me. I don't know how he escaped nerfs. He's still insane. Yeah, Ultimate Gohan, he also escaped nerfs. I don't know if he's now the best technical. Technical characters didn't really get touched too much, so it might still be Kid Gohan, but he's so insane. And then Broly, who I thought was one of the best releases this game's ever had, at least in terms of power level. He's so insanely fun and did not get nerfed or buffed, so if you're getting tired of potentially getting stunned by like Vegeta kick, stunned by Ultimate Gohan, stunned by all these different characters, you can just play Broly to stomp around and not get stunned at all. So you guys pick either. All of them are really good, so you cannot go wrong with any of them. With that being said, that's everything for Season 3 of Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra. Quite a long video. I was not expecting it to be this long. I apologize, and also sorry for the delay. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Stay tapped in the channel if you want to stay up to date with everything Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra, including Super Vegito, Super Saiyan Bardock, and Super Saiyan 2 Kefla, as well as everything in Season 3 of Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!